The season is cooking and so are the Bucks and the Cavs. Are there cracks appearing? Let's find out. Hello and welcome to Fox Sports Lab NBA. I'm your host, Ben Dixon, and joining me as always, the guru himself, Jaymz Clements. Welcome, James.
Thank you, Ben. I'm more excited to be here than Luka Doncic spying Ben Simmons trying to guard him.
Well, coming up, we apply the full court press to the early season juggernauts in nothing but net. We look at the Nuggets-Celtics clash, and then we welcome back our man, Carlos Boozer, for some big shots in buzzer beaters. It's full court press time and the Bucks and the Cavs are flying in the East. James, is it too early to call a two-horse race?
Yeah, we're 10 games in, Dicko. It's probably a little bit too early at the moment, but I will tell you this one for free. It's probably better to start your season off on a 9-game winning streak or an 8-game winning streak if you're the Cavs than not. That's the way it is. The thing is, the connective tissue between these challengers, contenders at the moment, has got to be their defence. The Bucks are absolutely flying defensively. They're kind of like, hey, guess what? We'll defend the three-point line. All of a sudden, it's made a big difference. They're incredible defensively so far to start the year. Giannis, look, he's flying, we know that. But the Cavs, adding Donovan Mitchell to give that offensive firepower to that defence already behind Evan Mobley, Jarrett, go the throw Allen. I love that big throw of his. They've basically stayed top 3 defence to start the year. The Suns are right there with them as a bit of a challenger as well. The Celtics, their defence has fallen off. Their offense is on fire, though. Basically, it's a lot of continuity, Dicko. That's what it's about. And I think that's where you'll see, essentially, this year, those teams that have sort of kept their squads together, made a couple of little additions. They're absolutely flying at the start. Well,
you've given us a couple out wide, which I like, but you did touch on Donovan Mitchell. Is he clearly the best recruit of the year?
Clearly. He's absolutely smashing it. He's averaging 30 points a game. The Cavs have come from absolutely nowhere to be one of the absolute contenders in the East. Look, basically at the moment we've got the Bucks, we've got the Cavs, we've got the Celtics. They're my top 3 in the East with an absolute flyer. And look, fitting in that seamlessly is actually pretty incredible. To go from Utah to come to Cleveland, just roll in there, go right boys, I've got this. Just get me the ball. He and Darius Garland have paired up in that backcourt. Absolutely dangerous. I love him at the moment. The Cavs, keep rolling with them. It's basically the Bucks and the Cavs. You've got to stay with them.
All right, stick with them. What about the Bucks? Well, you're talking about Giannis. He's got knee soreness. So do they get it done against the Spurs on Saturday, considering that?
I think, look, they keep strangling their opponents, right? The Spurs are going to get choked out like it's a UFC fight. It's horrifying. They could play Giannis and probably still do the exact same thing. Giannis is averaging a lazy, 32 points, 12 rebounds. He is basically the MVP hiding in plain sight. We can sort of look at Luka. We can look at Ja Morant. Giannis is out there absolutely crushing it night in, night out. And he's, the focal point of everything the Bucks do. But we just don't talk about him enough. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible, Giannis. And look, if he manages this knee soreness, he'll be fine. The Bucks, though, they're a defensive juggernaut. Keep riding him. They're just, seriously, they're holding teams to just the lowest point totals of everybody else in this entire NBA season. Keep riding those unders.
All right, let's have a look at Kyrie Irving. 5-game suspension. Now, that does hurt, so it's been a week to forget, let's be honest. Does that affect the Nets and Ben Simmons going forward?
It does affect them because it gives them a bit of focus. They've just gone out and hired, officially hired their interim head coach, Jacques Vaughn. Essentially, this is kind of the Nets going, we just need to steady this ship a little bit. But more importantly than Kyrie going out, I think, is the return of Seth Curry and Joe Harris. That gives the Nets just a couple of extra dead-eye shooters to really try to see if we can get this offense singing. Ben Simmons, look, we saw him just, talk about a week to forget. The dude got absolutely shredded by Luka Doncic, put in the spin cycle. He was more cooked than my old man Snags, Dicko. It was crazy. But with Joe Harris and Seth Curry there on those wings, around Kevin Durant, around Simmons, if they get the offense just pointing in the right direction, the Kyrie suspension, and until he comes back, he's got side quests that he actually has to achieve, he's playing GTA or something before he can come back and play for the Nets. But in the interim, I actually don't mind them. I think their offense with those shooters might actually sort of be something worth backing.
I'll tell you what, I'm loving your little one-liners, like your dad's sausages the way he cooks them on Barbie. All right, speaking of Aussies, tell me about Josh Giddey and the Thunder who have Toronto this week.
Giddy up. The mop-top Mamba. I absolutely love the mop-top Mamba. Giddey can do it all, but now he can shoot. Watch out. I love this. I absolutely love that Giddey has spent the off-season working with the shooting coach there in Oklahoma City, Chip England. Basically, he had a couple of games where he's hit multiple threes. You just love to see that from the Gidmeister, the Yarraville Yahoo. He just does it all at the moment. The shooting, the field goal percentage, look, that'll come. But just to see his willingness to take those threes, as opposed to, I don't know, other Australian stars. It's incredible to see it, and I love it. And I actually really like the Thunder in this spot against the Raptors. They just lost Pascal Siakam. He was having an absolute blinder of a season, Siakam. Absolute blinder. It was like 25, 9 and 7, crushing it, absolutely crushing it. But the Raptors, they feel to me like a Jenga tower. They're perfectly balanced. And if you take one little thing out, it gets a bit wobbly. And I think the Thunder, having lost a bunch of games sort of to start this season, they started off well, dropped off a bit. They need a couple of games like this to go, wait a minute, we've got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander absolutely crushing it to start this season. We've got Giddey dropping threes. I reckon they beat the Raptors.
Well, you did speak off air and say, I'm going to come in swinging with some real mail, and you have done that. That was Full Court Press.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.
Welcome to Nothing But Net, and it's Crunch City in 3 massive games this weekend. Let's start with Philly on Friday against the Hawks. Can Joel Embiid carry the load without James Harden for the next month with a foot tendon issue?
Can Joel Embiid carry them, Dicko?
Can he?
Yes. Will he? Also, yes. But look, they play the Hawks this weekend, which, I don't know, this is a really tough spot for Philly. Without Harden, look, they've already got Tyrese Maxey, who's just another scoring guard who doesn't play much defense. Doesn't quite have Harden's creativity on offense, but we'll sort of fill that gap. Look, Philly will be fine for that month. They might even be better, just saying. But Atlanta, look, in terms of like what Atlanta can do and what they can't do, in the middle specifically, they sort of struggle guarding, I don't know, field goal percentage at the rim, but they've sort of locked into these 3-point shooting, defensive numbers. And what happens then is they can let Embiid eat, key in on everybody else, use those perimeter defenders for the Atlanta Hawks, and really stymie this Sixers offense, which is never really the most sort of, flowing, pretty offense in the world. Anyway, how about the forgotten $35 million man, Dicko? Tobias Harris, can he step up and do something? That's all I want to know. Just,
earn a paycheck.
Just help us out, Tobias. Jeez, earn that paycheck. But yeah, I think, to be honest, the Hawks have got a really good chance at knocking off the Sixers here.
Well, I don't want you sitting on the fence. They've got a really good chance, or do they just win?
They win.
Okay.
The Hawks win this one, they cover, and look, they're big men against Embiid. There's only so much Embiid can do. They'll get him.
All right, Denver at home to Boston, and Nikola Jokic is rolling. Surely he takes advantage of the lack of height for Boston.
I absolutely love this matchup, though. You've got Denver out there in the West, an absolute dominating force in, back-to-back MVP Nikola Jokic, and nobody with any size on Boston. But they've got their wings. They've got Jaylen Brown, they've got Jason Tatum. This is going to be a great sort of battle between the big man in the middle, what he can create for that Nuggets offense, with Jam and Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. as well on the wings there for Denver. This is going to be an absolute belter, Dicko. And I think, look, the way that the Nuggets will win this is Jokic creating. He might not dominate, but he's got one of those Jason Kidd triple-doubles in him, 100%, like a 19, 10 and 10 easily, I think. But I think Denver will maybe not win this, but I think they cover the line. And we see a great tussle between their perimeter scorers. Tatum and Brown on one side, they might go for 30 plus each. You've got Jamal Murray and Porter Jr. as well on the other side. It's a great matchup. Denver cover, Boston win.
All right, James, now we're going to put your head on the chopping block here because I've loaded this gun and this question. Are you telling me that Ja Morant's Grizzlies will smash Rudy Gobert's Timberwolves?
Yeah, they're going to smash him. That's what happens. Because, look, we don't know, in terms of Gobert, he's been in and out, he's been in the health and safety protocols, but it doesn't matter. The Wolves have been trash with him on the court and trash with him off the court, Dicko. Like, it's a bit of a black and white situation. It's like, they've just not been good. They've beaten only bad teams essentially up until this point in the season. The numbers with him on the court are just disastrous offensively. There's no space for the slashes, the drivers of Minnesota like Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards and D'Angelo Russell to create, to drive. Anthony Edwards didn't get a dunk until like well into the season, which is chaos to me. But even when Rudy is off the floor, Karl Anthony Towns, look, their offense goes back through the roof, but their defense falls off a cliff. So, rock, hard place. It's a bit of a rough one, but Memphis will absolutely crush them. And this is a great matchup, though. You've got Ja Morant, you mentioned, and you've got Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards on the other side. It's like the Spider-Man meme, pointing at each other. It's going to be incredible. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, based on that, Minnesota, do they have a Gobert problem?
They've got a fit problem, basically, with Gobert next to Cat. Essentially, they've got two teams crammed into one at the moment, and like this is why Memphis will smoke them, because if they can't create enough offense, even with Gobert not playing defensively, if you can't slow down Memphis, you're going to get absolutely toasted. And I think Memphis are in for a really big win here. This is one of those ones where you go, oh, that's a very big margin in the end, and that'll all be Ja Morant. Desmond Bane as well is playing out of his absolute skin. He's unreal at the moment, knocking in threes at a crazy rate. I love this Memphis team. Can you tell? Can you tell? Absolutely love it.
That's why you're the star of the show. Swish, that was nothing but net.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.
It's buzzer beaters time as we welcome back the superstar Carlos Boozer after a sensational debut last week. Welcome, Carlos.
Guys, thanks for having me. How you doing?
Oh, we're even better now that you're on the show because you're outstanding last week. We expect nothing less this week. All right, let's talk games. So the Cavs versus the Warriors. Mitchell and Garland versus Curry and Thompson. Are the Cavs running the best new backcourt?
Yeah, they look great, man. I'll be honest. That trade that Utah did with Cleveland, getting Donovan Mitchell over there to the Cavaliers has really paid dividends. They're one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. And obviously the Milwaukee Bucks are still at the top of the list. But that backcourt between Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell is so dynamic. They can both score, shoot the three, drive, penetrate to the basket, and also make plays for their teammates. And then obviously we got the Splash Brothers, right? We got Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, two of the best guards that have ever played in the NBA. They got 4 championships together. They got that championship experience. So this one should be one of the ones for the ages. Instant classic.
I love that. I don't know. I want to see the Warriors run rings around them, Carlos. What do you think? But we've also got a 2002 Western Conference Finals rematch this weekend. We've got Sacramento, who I love at the moment, versus LA, the Lakers, who are in absolute ST Ruggle Town. Are you surprised by the Kings looking this good so far this season? And what do you reckon? Can the Lakers also sort of try to turn this very slow-moving LeBron James helmed ship around? What do you reckon?
Yeah, the Kings are very, very good. They got a lot of young talent. They got a star in De'Aaron Fox, who I think is a stud, primed to be an all-star as soon as they can get his team into playoff contention. But they did a good job through the draft. I think Keegan Murray is a terrific young player, going to be a great pro for a long time. And the coach is doing a great job, obviously, over there. Now, you flip the script to the Lakers, every team that LeBron is going to be on, a lot of expectations. It's like championship or bust situation when you got one of the best players that ever played the game. So, you know, that team is, I feel like they're trying to figure out their chemistry. They're starting to bring Russell Westbrook off the bench, and he's been playing terrific. And you look at his stats in the last 4 or 5 games, he's averaging almost 20 points a game. You know, 6, 7, 8 rebounds, 6, 7, 8 assists, looking like the Russ of old, having fun in a shorter period of time. So I really do think the Lakers can turn it around. The big key for me isn't LeBron, isn't Russell Westbrook. It's Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is in his prime of his career. He's one of those guys that has the capability of being an MVP kind of guy. He just hasn't played to that level yet. I know he gets hurt a lot, but if he can up his play and be the go-to guy, the Lakers need him to be on that team, they can turn it around quickly.
All right, Carlos, what about your old team, the Jazz? They've been flying. Washington this Sunday. Do they keep it rolling?
I think so. I mean, you know what? They made all those trades. They got a ton of draft picks moving forward. Danny Ainge got rid of Donovan Mitchell, got rid of Rudy Gobert. They're 2 studs inside, and they got back a bunch of hungry guys from different teams. You know, you think about Lauri Markkanen, who's playing at an all-star level in the Western Conference, doing a great job. Michael Conley, who's like the lone veteran there, keeping everything calm in the locker room. You got a stud coming off the bench in Jordan Clarkson, who got 6th Man of the Year not too long ago. And then you got Sexton. He's a tough point guard that's kind of like Patrick Beverley with better offense. And you basically have a team full of hungry guys. And the new head coach, Will Hardy's doing a terrific job of making those guys compete every single night. And they've probably been the surprises of the NBA season so far.
Love it. I'm absolutely loving that Dicko's here throwing lobs to you like he's Darren Williams as well, back in those Jazz days. Talking about Australians, though, so Josh Giddey's just come back for the Thunder. He's looking pretty good. We've got Patty Mills, obviously, in Brooklyn. We've got Daly just hanging out there on the bench in the aforementioned Sacramento. I've got a question for you. Like, in terms of the countries providing players for the NBA outside of the US, are the Aussies probably one of those more reliable sort of, imports, like in regards to work rate and team culture sort of building, like between Giddy, Jock Landale and Phoenix. They sort of bring a bit of a, I don't know, chemistry vibe to a lot of these teams, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think you guys do a great job of harnessing talent over there. There's been some great Australian players in the NBA. And they're obviously very talented enough to get to the NBA in the first place, but they're good teammates. I've heard so many great things from all the teams that Patty Mills has played for, especially the San Antonio Spurs. I'm really close with Tim Duncan, and he spoke tons about how Patty, obviously the skill set is incredible, but he's a good teammate. And that's the kind of guy, you know, when you're building a team, if I'm a general manager, I put my general manager hat on. I want to put teams together that are obviously talented players mixed with talented players, but also good guys. And from everything I've heard, you know, all the way from Luke Longley back playing with Chicago Bulls, everybody that's been in the NBA since, they're all really good guys from Australia. Oh, and by the way, you guys are talented as heck. So you guys definitely make every roster better.
Carlos, with a hat like that, you'll be the coolest general manager in the competition, no doubt about it. All right, time to go head-to-head with our man, James. We're going to start with you, James. Now, your 4 locks for this weekend. We're going to start with Philly versus Atlanta.
Atlanta, I think just without Harden, Atlanta will just have a little bit too much sort of talent in that backcourt. I think Atlanta can smash Philly. All
right, now Carlos, Philly or Atlanta?
I'm with you. I got Atlanta as well. I think that backcourt is one of the ones we haven't talked that much about, but DeJounte Murray and Trae Young have done a great job with the Hawks so far.
James, Denver versus Boston?
Absolutely love the Nuggets in this spot, Dicko. Just the sheer size of Jokic against that sort of, I don't know, smaller front line of Boston, shall we say. Even though the wing battle will be really good, I think Denver can cover. Boston might win it, but I think Denver cover.
Are you Boston or Denver, Carlos?
That's a great pick, and I want to lean towards Jokic because I'm such a big Joker fan. But in this one, I got to go with Boston. I think the wings are going to outplay the Tatum and Brown. That tandem is going to outplay the wings from Denver Nuggets. I just think their experience last year, they got a lot to prove, losing in the finals to the Warriors. So I got Brown and Tatum coming on top this one.
All right, Toronto take on Oklahoma. James.
I got to go with my man, the mop-top Mamba, Josh Giddey, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as well. I really like OKC in this spot because, I mean, we've talked about Toronto not having Pascal Siakam out for a couple of weeks. OKC, they're hungry. Defensively, they're better than you think. I think OKC can actually pull off a bit of a surprise here and beat Toronto.
All right, you're sticking with James's tip, or are you going the other way? Carlos?
I agree with James. I think OKC wins it just because Pascal Siakam, not having a guy like that, he's a perennial all-star. He's actually having a terrific season again this year. And them not being there, I do like Scotty Barnes a lot, but he's just not quite the superstar that he's going to be in a couple of weeks. So I'm going with OKC. I think Shea can do a great job, and they're tough. They're playing tough defense this year.
All right, the last one to round us out, Minnesota versus Memphis.
I'm going to have to go with Ja Morant. I think they absolutely smash Minnesota. Like, Minnesota defensively have been an absolute mess, even with Rudy Gobert. Like, when he's on the court, they're good. They just can't score. Like, it's just a bit of a mess there in Minnesota completely. So I think Memphis run right over the top of them.
You've been big on your Ja Morant for MVP, so he just keeps rolling with him here. Carlos, Minnesota or Memphis for you?
Yeah, I'm a big Ja Morant fan. I think he's taking the NBA by storm. He's so fun to watch. I would pay money to go watch Ja Morant play, even though I do like the young makeup. They got the Twin Towers with Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. I haven't seen a guy like Ja Morant since I saw Derrick Rose. So I'm going with Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies.
It's been great to have you back, Carlos. We seriously love it. 2 weeks in a row, you've upstaged our man James here. I'll just throw the one out there. We look forward to having you back soon.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, guys.
There you have it. This is Buzzer Beaters. James, you were terrific. I actually downplayed that. Carlos is gone now, so I can pump you up. But he just knows where to nail it, doesn't he?
Yeah, Carlos is, he's a 2-time All-Star for a reason. I mean, as a former 2-time All-Star myself, I mean, I'm trying to basically, catch his shadow at this point. But here we are.
Well, you have been outstanding. Well done. Don't forget to subscribe below, and we'll catch you next week.